It was late October in a quiet town outside of Cleveland, the kind of place where people waved from porches but rarely stepped off them. The wind that afternoon wasn't violent, just steady and cold, the kind that slowly seeps into your bones until you can't tell if you're shaking from the temperature or from fear. On the edge of a grocery store parking lot, near a flickering streetlight, sat a woman named Marissa Cole. Beside her was her 8-year-old daughter, Nora. Marissa had once been the kind of mother who ironed school uniforms and packed lunches with little handwritten notes inside. She used to hum while washing dishes, used to believe hard work was enough. But life doesn't always reward effort. 3 months earlier, the manufacturing plant where she worked shut down without warning. One Friday, she had a paycheck. By Monday, she had a cardboard box with her name on it. She applied everywhere. Waitressing, retail, cleaning services, night shifts. Every interview ended the same way. "We'll call you." No one called. The savings drained. The landlord waited 2 weeks, then changed the locks. Now everything they owned fit inside 2 duffel bags and a broken suitcase missing one wheel. Nora leaned against her mother's side, her small sneakers dusty from walking too much. "Mom?" she asked softly. Marissa swallowed. "Yeah, baby?" "Are we invisible?" The question hit harder than hunger ever could. "What do you mean?" Nora stared at the grocery store doors sliding open and shut as people came out with bags full of food. "People look at us, but they don't really see us." Marissa forced a smile. That's not true. But it felt true. They had tried the shelter. It was full. They tried the church pantry, closed on Mondays. They tried asking for day-old bread at the store bakery. Policy says no. Policy. Marissa looked down at her daughter's thinning jacket. She had stopped crying in front of Nora weeks ago, but when Nora whispered, barely audible, "Did we do something wrong?" that nearly broke her. Across the parking lot, a man was tightening the straps on a ladder attached to the roof of his plumbing van. His name was Daniel Reyes. He wasn't rich, not even close. He worked 12-hour days fixing pipes and houses far nicer than his own. He packed his lunch most days. He hadn't taken a vacation in 4 years. He was also raising a 10-year-old son alone. His wife had died after a short illness that drained their savings and left the house too quiet at night. Daniel knew what it felt like to sit in your truck after work and stare at the steering wheel because going home meant facing silence. He didn't mean to stare, but he noticed the way the little girl kept rubbing her hands together for warmth. He noticed the mother pretending not to shiver. He noticed the way the child kept glancing at the automatic doors, not begging, just hoping. He looked away at first. Most people do. You tell yourself it's not your business. You tell yourself someone else will help. You tell yourself you don't have enough. But then the wind picked up, and the girl coughed. Daniel exhaled slowly. "Damn it," he muttered, not annoyed at them, but at himself. He walked into the grocery store. 15 minutes later, he came back out with 2 hot rotisserie meals, bottled water, a loaf of bread, and a small chocolate cake he wasn't sure he could afford. He approached slowly. Marissa stiffened. "I'm not calling the police," he said gently before she could panic, "and I'm not here to judge you." She didn't respond. He set the food down near them, not too close. "I just figured nobody should be cold and hungry at the same time." Nora stared at the cake. Marissa's pride rose like a shield. "We're okay," she said automatically. Daniel nodded. "I know. But okay people still eat." It wasn't pity in his voice. It was understanding. After a long moment, Nora whispered, "Mom, please?" Marissa closed her eyes and nodded. They ate on that curb like it was Thanksgiving. Daniel didn't stay for thanks. He walked back to his van. But he didn't leave. He watched from a distance to make sure no one bothered them. That night, temperatures dropped below freezing. Daniel tried to go home. He lasted 22 minutes. He kept picturing Nora's small hands. He drove back. They were sitting behind the store now, near the dumpsters, trying to block the wind. That was it. He stepped out of the van. "I have a heated garage," he said carefully. "There's a spare room above it. It's not pretty, but it locks from the inside. You'd have privacy." Marissa's entire body tensed. Trust is expensive when you've lost everything. "I'm not asking for anything," Daniel added quickly. "You can leave whenever you want. No paperwork, no favors." Nora looked up at her mother. "I'm tired of being cold," she whispered. That decided it. The room above the garage smelled faintly of motor oil and laundry detergent. But it had a space heater, a small bathroom, a pull-out couch, clean blankets. To Nora, it looked like a palace. Marissa barely slept that night. Not because she was afraid, but because it was the first time in weeks she wasn't. Over the next days, Daniel kept his distance. He left groceries on the stairs. He never entered without knocking. Marissa insisted on cleaning, cooking, fixing loose cabinet hinges. "I don't want to feel like a charity case," she told him once. "You don't," he replied. "You feel like someone who got hit by life." Nora met Daniel's son, Mateo. At first, they were awkward. Then, they were racing toy cars across the garage floor. Children don't care about status. They care about laughter. One evening, while washing dishes, Marissa overheard Nora asking Mateo, "Did you ever feel like God stopped listening?" Daniel froze in the hallway. Mateo shrugged. "Dad says sometimes help doesn't look like what we expect." Marissa pressed her hand to her mouth. That night, she cried, quietly, not from despair, but from relief. Weeks passed. Daniel helped her update her resume. She landed a trial shift at a 24-hour diner off the highway. The manager was skeptical until Marissa handled a rush-hour crowd alone when another waitress called in sick. She got hired full-time. The first paycheck wasn't huge, but it was hers. The first thing she bought? A thick winter coat for Nora. The second? Ingredients to bake a chocolate cake, the same kind Daniel had brought that first night. She placed it on his kitchen counter with a note. "You didn't rescue us. You reminded us we weren't invisible." Months later, Marissa moved into a small apartment. Not fancy, but theirs. They didn't drift apart. Some bonds aren't temporary. That winter, a brutal snowstorm shut down half the town. The diner stayed open to serve stranded drivers. Marissa worked double shifts. Daniel brought blankets from his truck. Nora and Mateo handed out free coffee to anyone who couldn't pay. Near midnight, a little boy walked in with his grandmother. They looked exhausted. The boy stared at the snow outside and asked quietly, "Grandma, do you think God forgot our house?" Nora stepped forward before anyone else could answer. She knelt beside him. "No," she said gently. "Sometimes he just sends plumbers instead of angels." Daniel laughed from across the room. Marissa didn't. She was too busy blinking back tears because she finally understood something. The miracle wasn't money. It wasn't the job. It wasn't even the room above the garage. The miracle was being seen. Years from now, Nora might not remember the hunger, but she would remember the man who refused to walk away. And Daniel? He would remember the night he almost did.